Welcome, everybody. Another LinkedIn Live from Lean 42. Yeah, Wolfgang, hello. And yeah, today a very interesting topic. We have had a lot of LinkedIn Live sessions about enterprise architecture, IT management, and CIO advisory topics. You might all know we are CIO advisory and we're doing enterprise architecture and related topics and help our clients with that. Today it's a little bit, not only enterprise architecture, it's extending enterprise architecture and it's about enterprise design. And I'm very happy here to have Wolfgang with me. Yeah. First of all, I'm Fabian. I'm working as a CIO advisor and chief consultant here at Lean 42. I'm Wolfgang with me, Wolfgang Göbel, and he's president of the Intersection Group. And Intersection Group is about building collaborative approach for building better enterprises and therefore also about enterprise design. Quite interesting topic. So Wolfgang, I just hand over to you. Maybe you quickly introduce yourself and then let's talk about what is it, enterprise design, what is it all about?
Yeah, interesting topic it is. And thanks for the invitation, of course, Lean 2042 and Fabian.
Good to have you, yeah.
Much appreciated. Before I started on this Intersection Group and enterprise design journey, I had been working as an enterprise architect for 15 years, so Austria's largest bank, and I was in my late 30s and so on, and that was quite a mighty feeling, right? I'm the architect of the enterprise now. It took me a while, 2 years, 3 years, to find out, hey, there are other architects of the enterprise, and big decisions had been made somewhere else, and there were managers, designers, product designers. So I found that, okay, there are many people co-architecting the enterprises and shaping it each and every day. And then there was a huge merger, and we all know what happens, merger, so that's usually quite painful for many people involved. And then my really well-designed enterprise architecture, if it was well-designed, became a big mess because of political influences. So it was quite frustrating, and I did enterprise architecture in several other companies to find out that we are still in a not so successful discipline. It was kind of frustrating, motivated us to try to start something new. So that's my story, where we are coming from.
So enterprise design then, let it be. It's also about enterprises, building up enterprises, shaping enterprises, architecturing enterprises, I would say. So what it is that it usually, that it is more than the simple architecture, the architecture you did before in many of your roles.
Yeah. So first of all, the idea for enterprise design came from Milan Günther, his partner. So we have two presidents. I think he's here today. Okay. So hello. And he comes from this design school. And we started our discussion. What is architecture? What is design? And we did not come to a conclusion. You can discuss it forever. So it's a term. Yeah, you can design something. Yeah, of course you can design IT architectures, you can design organizations, you can design interior design and so on. So that's just a term. But how we see it is that it is a collaborative practice. So that means we respect that there are plenty of disciplines in enterprises. So there are the process managers and the executives, product managers, user experience designers, agile. Everybody wants to make changes in his agile team and so on. So what with our approach with EDGY, we want to embrace the creativity of those many people and those many disciplines. So we see it more as a glue practice than as another siloed discipline. We want to connect them and bring them together in a collaborative way.
So of course, connecting IT, connecting architecture to more business-related topics, to more business-related people and departments within corporations and companies. Yeah, this has always been out there. So now, what is the approach, the new part of the approach here to say, you already mentioned EDGY and you're president of the Intersection Group. I think it's a kind of, I attended your conference in Vienna earlier this year, and I think it's a little bit more about that you have an other and a more overarching view on the enterprise.
Yes.
When you do enterprise design.
Yes. Yeah. So in EDGY, we see enterprises from three, we call them facets. And architecture, where enterprise architects come from, is only one out of three. So when we talk about architecture, we discuss questions like how are we running our enterprise? What are we capable of achieving? What makes everything work together? Typically, you have IT structures, application platforms, system software, servers, whatever. So these are structures that are needed to operate a bank, for example. Architecture, you can also have buildings and so on. That's also part of what we need, or raw materials, kind of assets you need to
Mhm.
create your products and to run your processes. That's one facet and one way to look and to design the enterprise. And we have two additional facets. And one is identity. So there we discuss questions, ask hard questions. Why do we exist? So it's closer to purpose. Who are we? What matters to us? Right. So that's this typical mission vision done somewhere in the strategy or in the C-suite. Usually they discuss it. Yeah? We as engineers in the architecture department, we want to make it work. We don't want to usually all too often want to answer the question why and so on. So identity is very much about the why and the stories and the purposes we define to answer that. And the third facet, that's experience. So in experience, we discuss questions like what is the role of our enterprise in people's lives? What can we do for people? What do we feel? So it's very much about, of course, we all know user experience designers. And when you have ever met them in workshops, they feel kind of alien. They are way closer to feeling, to emotion, to, there's user stories and research and what they are doing. And with EDGY, finally, and with our enterprise design approach, we want to look from these three facets, three perspectives, and focus and refocus from one facet to another. And exciting things, that's what we want to have happen when we meet an intersection. So when we connect the feasibility, how do we operate with the experience, for example, in the product facet and so on. So yeah, so we think it's a 360-degree view on the enterprise. We believe it's enterprise architecture alone. And it's about glue between those disciplines, between the concepts of those disciplines that are related to those facets.
So when you do your daily work and enterprise architects are there, they are maybe in the facet, you call it facet of enterprise architecture. Who are the people, the persons, which are the roles are there in the other facets? Is it enterprise designers or so? And how do they work together when they follow kind of your approach? You say, okay, it's glued together. What is in day-to-day work? What is their
Yeah,
glue? What
I mean,
helps them?
what we
Yeah.
see today, or what we have seen before, EDGY, is that everybody loves their concepts, user experience, the customer journeys, and product designers and enterprise architects love their capability maps. They are not so well known in the other facets, by the way. And the management, the green facet, identity, mission, they hire a strategic consultancy and come up with some business model canvas maybe, or with some mission statement, and so on. So what we had seen before EDGY are isolated disciplines, right? And with EDGY, we want to be a language. That's one part of the EDGY toolkit, of the EDGY open source tool, is a language that can translate between them. So we want that everybody, literally everybody in a company, starts speaking this language, understanding the concepts behind the capability, for example, we have it, or an asset, we have some elements in the language, so that we agree on some fundamental, basic, but fundamental concepts to finally bridge it and enable a true coherent, we call it coherent enterprise design across the facets, so that the journeys, the design from the outside in maybe fits together with the capabilities and the IT support from the blue facet and so on. That's what we want to make happen with the EDGY language.
So yeah, please feel free to ask questions. If you're not watching this live, you're watching this maybe via our Lean 42 Academy later on, you can just send us an email. But now if you're on LinkedIn or maybe on Instagram, you can just ask questions. And I think there's the first one, and it quite fits really good. So connecting, bringing together stakeholders in a collaborative activity using the same modeling approach, very good. Thanks for that. One thing potential users expect is value delivery. what is the value delivered and how can it be measured? Do we have concrete examples?
Yeah. It's part of our mission statement. We as Intersection Group say we help people create better enterprises. So the value, if you want, the intended outcomes is to make them better, but that's not really measurable. Yeah? And we believe that better can mean very different things for different companies. And it's defined maybe by the leaders or by the companies. What does it mean to be a better enterprise? For some enterprises, it's being more productive, better, more efficient processes, for example. You can sell more products than you are finance obsessed. For other associations, maybe not for profit associations like Greece, means some company that has measurable impact on the environment, for example. So it depends what the enterprise itself considers as the value and better. And if you ask me why do we need this common language to do that, is coherence. We believe it's impossible to create a coherent enterprise where everything fits together. So the opposite would be in what we call an awkward enterprise, where that performs very differently across channels, where like in some railway companies, where the information seen at the railway station is different from what you see in your mobile app, or a bike company, rent a bike company in the cities, who create tens of thousands of wasted bikes and so on. So that's not what we want to see. That's not intended outcomes. So there's a lot of ways where companies go awkward, because those facets and those disciplines are only loosely connected. So coherence might be one thing to measure this kind of value.
And I think also something, maybe you have some more concrete examples for that is what I learned at the conference was that some of the colleagues there who used EDGY, who used this kind of overarching approach, said, yeah, we introduced something new, maybe a kind of a new product, new service, and so on, and it went better. We did it faster than any time before. Yeah. So with this collaborative approach, bringing all the different facets together, I said, okay, was not everything can be compared, but from what we see, what we reported back to the management, how the project went, what the status was, how many red statuses there were, it was much better than any of the projects before. So it's maybe this is kind of an also
Yes.
concrete example or value. Introduction of a new service, introduction of a new product for the client, for the end client, and doing this with this collaborative approach.
Yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is, how many projects are we running that realize changes that are aligned with our purpose? How many waste projects have been started in that company? Usually, when you look at project portfolio management, you can do it with SAFe or HL in what way ever. There are hundreds of changes ongoing in a company. What I see quite often is that the change portfolio is not well connected with the purposes. Why? Because the purposes of a company are usually not well modeled. You have a mission statement, maybe you have some KPIs that are kind of financially obsessed. But with EDGY, you can see also the goals from multifacets and say, okay, why do we need this project? What is better? Does it serve the right customers and so on? So it offers a 360-degree view, not only on some maps or enterprise design or artifacts we have in design and architecture, but also on something like the project portfolio. You always ask, why do I need this change? To improve architecture? Are we getting more efficient? To improve the experience for a certain customer segment? Or to bring us closer to the why? So it helps us, this project helps us to get more environmentally friendly, for example, if this is a purpose from a company. So it's this 360-degree approach on everything that is going on in an enterprise.
I think we already talked about a little bit about the glue between the different facets. What we learned from many of our engagements today, so that clients always, when it comes to architecture, to business, to kind of an alignment, they talk about capabilities. They ask us what to do and how can they help us and so on. Capabilities or business capabilities, less technical capabilities. Is this something you also experience, and maybe how does it fit the capabilities? How do they fit within the facets?
Yeah, so we think that capabilities are a super important concept and they can be a game changer if we as enterprise architects essentially manage to bring them to the business side, because today it's a big concept, it's growing in the enterprise architecture space. Every tool implements it, we use it, maybe more like drawers. So what I've seen all too often is enterprise architecture departments, and then they have a capability map and they say, oh, now I can put my SAP in this drawer and my financial system in this drawer. And some of us think, oh, we are done when we have those drawers. But we believe you're done with capability modeling once you have the business truly own it. So if you manage to really co-design it and make it the primary map of what's going on in the business, then you are done. Usually, it's a broad way for most companies, but I've seen how powerful it can be when the C and the B levels and so on start discussing capability first. What do we need to be capable? What's the output? So then you have true business components. I like this term. So in that way, you move modularization. We as enterprise architects love loose coupling, modularization. So it's a concept coming from IT. And with capabilities, we want to enable the business to design their business components. It's not rocket science. And the capability concept will, once they really own it, be super powerful, because then we can enable a co-design between org structures and IT structures. Yeah, what happens today? You have a merger or something, or a head of a business unit restructures his or her organization on the org chart, maybe, or in team, in safe, or whatever. And IT is a totally different thing. Yeah, but most of you probably know the Conway's law, that they are always linked. Yeah, that the IT structures, the interfaces, only if you want, follow the communication structures between teams. So there's a tight connection between the org structure and the IT structure. And the reason why we are in this sad state that we still have those messed up IT landscape is that we are not designing org and IT in a coherent way, that it all belongs together. So it's very important. It's a blue concept, it's a structural concept in EDGY, but it's related, a direct link to organization, also an element we have in EDGY. So that's the idea.
So we have some follow-up questions also from Jean-Marie. Maybe we come to that later. In between, some question from Carsten, my colleague here at Lean 42. Is there chief enterprise designer? And who should the chief enterprise designer report to? Wolfgang, what's your experience?
I think that it should be the CEO. So, and in reality, he or she is already, because with only one decision, he can change whole lines of business and so on, sell plans and so on. And we are still discussing in intersection group if there is a role that is called enterprise designer at all, because what we want to enable is that we have hundreds or thousands people that see themselves as designers. Yeah, we all are creative, and maybe you do it in your small surrounding only, in your business process, in your capability, in your team, right? You do a little change only in your part of the business. And then those people with EDGY, we want them to communicate and co-design together. So this is the idea of a true bottom-up design. But yes, you always need somebody looking from top down too. And we know this, the CEOs of this world are super busy and they won't model a lot of maps. So I think, yes, it needs something like a consulting role. I call myself a coach. We're not there yet. I call myself an enterprise design coach. What I want to express is it's their duty. They must design their enterprises from bottom up and top down. So I don't believe in this big external, I have all the edgy skills of this world. I believe that we must enable and seize the enormous creative potential of the thousands of people we have. That's what EDGY is about.
Okay, so roles and so just a little bit underway, and it depends a little bit. So we have another question from Jan. Is it possible to provide a short demo or example case study? Yes, we'll do. Maybe not today, but I think there will be a follow-up maybe more like a webinar, end of January or something. We can see it then also on LinkedIn when it will take place. And there I think we'll be look into a little bit more into EDGY, also show the tool in action. And then also maybe we can have Wolfgang kind of example or case study quickly in that kind of
Sure. Yeah, and there's some material on our webpage. So if you go to intersection.group or you search for a YouTube channel, we have plenty of material if you can't wait. But of course, it's better to do it with Lean 42 because it will be a cool session again with my friends from Munich. So be there in January. Yes.
We'll have that in January. Yeah, next year. So there's a follow-up question from Jean-Marie. Maybe first we talk a little bit because it's more about EDGY also. EDGY, maybe in just some quick words, Wolfgang, what is it?
It's an open source tool. And it helps people create better enterprises. So it's a set of components. Currently, we only have published the language foundations. So if you go to enterprise.design, you will find a colorful, concise, easy to use specification is maybe the word is a bit too complex. So it's playful. Yeah. So that was the whole idea. And what we've published in March, end of March this year, is only the beginning. So that's the language foundation, and this language foundation defines these 3 facets. It defines 9 base elements and all the other elements and relationships between those elements. And for each element, we have only a brief specification what it is. Yeah. So that's only the beginning, and what we will provide over time, because we are not for profit association, running it like an open source tool. We want over time to become the Wikipedia for enterprise design of all sorts. So not only for the IT architecture part, also for organizational designers. So we're already designing this platform where people can easily publish kind of snippets or tools or ideas how to tackle certain challenges. Yeah, like how can I maybe better align purpose with product and so on. And I have an idea, I have a concrete case. And so over time, expect an open source thing where we have many co-creators creating tools, creating what we call snippet stories. It will be well illustrated that shows concrete patterns how to create better enterprises. So the language is only the beginning, right? So stay tuned.
So now regarding the follow-up question from Jean-Marie, it's again about the value. And let's quickly look at it. Understand and admit that value can be difficult to define, sure. Yeah, particularly at the start of an initiative or when you do a concentration. So, but do you think that value indicators or their related objectives can be formalized, even quantified, yeah, and sometime in the EDGY method taken or be part of the EDGY method? That's what I understand. How do actual users and clients measure that? So is there something within EDGY where you can maybe formalize or quantify the value of
Personally, I don't like the term value because it keeps things a bit blurry and vague. When in EDGY we talk of outcomes, and we have this as a base element, intended outcomes. So that's a result, an outcome of something. And some outcomes are easy to measure. You can deliver something. You could say, okay, that's an output. So if BMW, so that's very suitable for Munich, if BMW produces a convertible, that's an output, yeah, right? Usually we say, okay, that's a concrete result and I can count that. Of course I can. Yeah, I've sold that many X5 SUVs, for example. So that's more an output. And when it comes to outcomes, it gets really tricky because usually what we see is that you have change of outcomes. So what's the outcome BMW wants to have? We want to have people fun driving. That's what they sell. It's not only to move from A to B. We want to have people fun driving. And that's much harder to measure. Of course, you can run surveys. Yeah, you can do that. And the user experience product people are doing that. Of course, you can do that. But you cannot really, you can engineer and only hope to achieve those intended outcomes. So long story short, we don't have the holy grail in how to do KPIs, and we all know how limited KPIs can be if you have quantified. So then we are moving to OKRs in those disciplines, and we believe in OKRs. What we have in EDGY are tags, so you can instead of saying, okay, there's some value, you can focus on a certain element. So you can have a capability and you can add a tag, a KPI maybe, improve this capability by, or make this capability cheaper by. So then you assign a tag, a metric on an edgy element. And you can do that for product. We want to sell 10 million of X5 SUVs. So we have the concept in EDGY. It's a simple concept. You simply use tags and metrics, and we have outcome as the element. We don't really like the term value for reasons.
But it's very good to know that outcome, maybe not the term value, but outcome is already part of EDGY, part of the open source tool, part of the language, and that it's one of the facets or part of one of the facets you always look into this. So maybe when we do the webinar, we can also focus a little bit on this kind of outcome and see how this in a concrete example this would work and how outcome works together with the other elements with intersection and EDGY. Another question from Yazil: what are the benefits from EDGY and enterprise design versus Archimate?
Archimate comes out of this IT tradition, and the inventor, so Mark Lankhurst and the community, he's also part of intersection group. And so together with him, we also created a mapping from Archimate to EDGY. Okay, but that's a bit of the history. Archimate has, I think, 50 elements and 12 relation types or so. And after it has moved to open group, it's developed and further developed based on committee. So, and the big danger when you have many people have influence on open group, what you get usually is feature creep. So what I see as a bit of a problem, of course, you can use Archimate if you downsize it to your thing, is that Archimate is not designed to be used by everybody. So Archimate is a tool for enterprise architects, and it's useful there, right? You can model to the node and to the network and to the lowest level hardware component and system software component and so on. And that's a good thing, but it does not help if you want to have a co-design, co-architect approach that goes broadly across thousands of people of the enterprises. So we needed something way simpler. And that's the idea with EDGY. We want to bring, and that was my initial mission 5 years ago when I founded Architectural Thinking Association, we must make architecture as simple to use as an iPhone and bring it to everybody, because the business people, they are not dumb. They are just not engineers. They are not thinking in components and relations and so on. Not yet, but it's not rocket science. Yeah? And I'm a firm believer that we must bring a simple form of architecture to everybody, almost everybody, and help them co-design the architectures. And that's why Archimate, I think, won't work for that scenario.
So Archimate still good, still has its value, good for a certain purpose, and EDGY and enterprise design has a kind of another approach and addresses maybe more people, more departments within a corporation. Okay, so half an hour gone, but maybe we have time, quick time, short time for another question. So for everybody who sees it live, last chance to ask a question. Afterwards, later on, this recording will be available in our academy. It's lean42.academy. Yeah, there it is. And so you can rewatch it, and if you're now rewatching it and you have a question, just drop us an email and we'll be happy to get in contact with you. So I don't think there are any more questions. And yeah, Wolfgang, thanks a lot for the insights. Very interesting topic. We'll continue this end of January next year, I think, and then look a little bit more into EDGY, how it really looks like, and present a concrete example. How is it done? So stay tuned.
Sure.
Will also be announced via LinkedIn. And yeah.
And thanks for having me. It's always good to talk to my old Munich friends. So.
Happy to have you with us. Yeah, it's not a long distance between Vienna and Munich, and yeah. I will be in Vienna next week, so maybe we can meet there. It's always nice to be
sure
at your place in Vienna. Thanks everybody for joining us today, and see you soon with next LinkedIn Live or webinars. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.